Hello, in this chapter we're going to talk about simple interest. So, so simple interest start with a principal or the amount your account start with. This could be starting with investment or starting amount of loan. So interest is the most simple form as the percentage of the principal. For example, if you borrow $100 from a friend and agree to repay it with 5% interest, then the amount of interest you would pay would be just 5% of 100, which is we use 100 times 0.05, which is $5. So the total amount that you should pay should be 105, which means the original principal plus the interest. So for simple interest, the amount of interest is equal to the principal times the rate. For our previous example, the rate would be 5%. So that means we times 0.005. And then the total amount that you're going to pay back to your fans should be the principal and interest. We can't just pay them $5 and pretend that, hey, that's it. No. So now let's reorder it. So the interest P stands for principal plus the interest. Interest is equals to the principal times whatever rate that you guys agrees on, which is in this case is 5%. Okay, common factor P. So we pull the P out. We have 1 plus the interest rate. So in this formula, I stands for the interest usually is in a decimal form. We need to convert it to percentage to a decimal. So P is the principal. Or the starting amount. R is interest rate. Usually is in decimal form. Oh, R is the interest amount, sorry. The interest amount. R is the interest rate in decimal form. That means our 5%, we need to rewrite it as 0.05. And then A is the total amount or the end amount. That means A is the principal plus the interest. Okay, so here's an example. A friend asks to borrow 300 and agrees to pay it in 30 days with 3% interest. How much interest will you earn? So now they just ask you how much interest will you earn? Just interest. So interest equals to the principal times R, which is the rate. So our principal is 300 times the rate 3%. Now we need to convert the 3% into a decimal, which is 0.03. So the total interest you're going to earn will be $9. They just ask the interest, not ask you what would you get in total. Okay, the second example would be, so suppose that your city is building a new park and issues bonds to raise the money to build it. You obtain 1,000 bonds that pays 5% interest annually that mature in 5 years. How much interest will you earn? Okay, so this is really interesting questions. So take a look. So how much so since this interest pays interest annually, right? So you need to think about how many interest will you earn on your first year. So each year, the interest you're going to earn is going to be the principal times the rate. So the principal is 1,000 times the rate 5%, which is 0.05. So each year you're going to make $50, right? So over the 5 years, because totally you're going to the interest is going to mature in 5 years. That means you can take the money out until 5 years. So that means the total money you're going to get over the 5 years, you should get five times each year you're making $50. So the total interest will you earn will be $250. Since they just asked the interest, so that's how much you're going to earn. But now let me ask you a question. So how much would you receive after 5 years? Well, since you receive the interest plus, of course, you will get your principal back. So the total amount that you will receive after 5 years should be what? Your principal plus the interest that you earned over the 5 years. So totally should be 1,250. So when it comes to simple interest over the time, we have what? The interest that you make should equals to the principal times the rate times the time. So in here, our principal, the total amount should be the principal plus the interest, where our interest is P times R times T. And then the common factor is P. We pull the P out, we have 1 plus R times T. Look at what we got here. We got the first year's interest, which is $50. And since there's totally 5 years, so we need to times 5, which is times the time. So that's why here we times T. Okay, I stands for the interest. P again is the principal. R is the interest rate. T is the time. A is the end amount. Okay. So annual percentage rate. So APR, you will see that a lot in the bank. If you open a saving account, they will always tell you what is the APR. So interest rate are usually given as a APR. The total interest rate will be paid in a year. If the interest rate is paid in the smaller time increment, the APR will divide up. So for example, 6% APR, which is annual percentage rate paid monthly, will be divided into 12, which is 0.5 per payment. So if in a year, you will pay 6%, let's say in this way. So since this is APR, the APR is 6. Remember, A stands for annual. That means how many interest you're going to get within a year. But since they paid monthly, so you need to think about how many months in a year. So there are what? 12 months in a year. So that means you're going to divide the payment into 12 so that you will get 0.5% per month or per payment, per monthly payment. Let me put it in this way. So here is a second example, a 4 annual rate paid quarterly. So if you have a 4% APR, So you were supposed to get 4% interest rate over the year time range, and now they pay quarterly. So that means each payment you will get what? So in a year, within a year, there are 4 quarters, right? So you use 4% divided by 4. So each time you're going to get 1% per payment for your interest. So over a year course, you should still get 4%. Okay, so a treasury note, which is T-note, are bonds issued by the federal government to cover its expenses. Suppose you obtained 1,000 T-bond with a 4% annual rate paid semi-annually with a maturity in 4 years. How much interest you are going to earn? So, since the interest is paying semi-annually, so that means what? Semi-annually means you're going to get paid twice a year. So each payment, so we just did that. So 4% APR, and then you're going to pay it twice a year. That means we want to use 4% divided by 2, which is equals to 2% as each payment. Okay, with 4-year maturity. So now you think about that, how many times you're going to pay it within 4 years. So 4 years, in 4 years, how many half year in 4 years? So that means in the first year, you're going to pay twice. In the second year, you pay another twice, so totally 4 times. And then in the third year, you pay twice, and then 6 times. In 4 years, you're going to pay another twice. So that means 8 times. So that means the time since you're paying 2 years. Since you're paying twice a year, so means the total times you're going to pay the payment should be 8 times, right? Okay. So the interest used to be what? The principal times interest rate times the times. So the principal is 1,000 times the rate, 2%, times you're going to get 8 payments. So again, you need to write the percentage in a decimal form times 8. So totally it should be 160. That's how much you are going to get totally. So you will earn 160 interest total over the years. Okay, that's it for today's lesson. Let me know if you have other questions.